What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It finally happened. I made it about a year, but I finally caved. Today we're gonna be installing BC coilovers with Swift springs on the E46. Yep, so I've been driving my E46 for a little over a year now, daily driving, and I've actually managed to keep it pretty much stuck, aside from some small cosmetic changes. But yeah, I think it's finally time. I definitely want to go with the Swift springs to hopefully maintain a nice smooth ride. That has been my experience in the past with BCs with Swifts. Not planning on going crazy here, just want to get a nice, more sporty, more aggressive look on the car, as well as refresh that 200,000 mile stock suspension. It's definitely in need of it. I've also been trying to figure out a little bit of a steering wheel play that the car has, hoping it might have something to do with the stock upper strut mounts being worn out, and the new BCs have camber plates in the front, so I'm hoping it resolves that issue. But yeah, should be pretty sweet. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start in the front. Alright, so from what I've seen, the design of the suspension is actually really easy to work on. First thing we're going to do here is hit this end link on the strut. It's a 16mm. Then there's going to be an 18 on the bottom that holds the strut. And then, of course, your top nuts. So I'm going to start with that end link and then go to the bottom mount and then the top mounts and then see if we can get this stock suspension out of here. Alright, that was extremely easy. I would say that rivals the Miata. Honestly, the fronts on this is probably easier than the fronts on a Miata. So at this point, I'm going to do a little bit of pre-adjustment on the BCs before I install it in the car. The preload will come preset from the factory. I'm just going to leave it alone, but I'm going to quickly set both fronts to the same height, just try and guess where I'm going to want them, put them on the car, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so I've got a rough adjustment of how I'm going to run this for now until we put wheels on, put it on the ground, and actually see what it's going to look like. But for now, what I always like to do on coilovers, easy way for me to measure and make sure both sides are even, is just take a tape measure, and I like to measure the threads in between this collar and this bottom collar here. So right now I'm running about 2 3/4 inches of space right here. I'm going to do that on both fronts, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on. Also, an important thing to note on the E46 fronts, you're going to see this little nub sticking out here on the fronts. That is going to go with this slot here in the knuckle, so that way you know how to get it lined up. Alright, so we got the front end, gonna be the exact same process on the other side. Now I'm gonna hop to the rear. First thing we're gonna do is get the shock out. That's gonna allow the whole bucket to drop, and then we're gonna be able to get that spring out and then put the new stuff in. Alright, first I'm gonna hit this bottom shock bolt. It's an 18mm. Okay, once you get your carpet out of the way, there's going to be this black kind of foam insulation that is covering up where you need to get at the strut tower. It's probably going to be extremely brittle like mine was, so what I ended up doing was just kind of breaking open a little hole there at the top of the strut tower so we can get to those nuts and get that shock out. Alright, got the rear spring out, and I forgot to record this, but at this point you're going to have someone come and stand here, and this will give you room to pull the rear spring out. Comes out very easily. So now we're going to put the new rear spring in and then the shock, and we'll pretty much be done. Alright, for the rear shocks, I picked up a set of the Condor Speed rear strut tower reinforcement plates. This is going to sit on the top of the strut tower. The shock's going to go through it, and then we're going to put our nuts on top here. A lot of people recommend these on the E36 and E46. I guess the strut tower metal is kind of thin. This just helps strengthen it when you have the upgraded rear shocks. Alright, it's been a few days since I finished the install. Since then, I've added 12mm spacers all the way around and fine-tuned the height to my liking. So I'm currently really happy with how it's sitting. I think it looks awesome. I didn't have to roll any fenders or mess with anything like that. No rubbing or issues or anything like that, and I think the car is looking really nice. What actually surprised me the most was how it rides. It rides so good. That old suspension was definitely really worn out. I had a few people ride in the car, and they actually said if they didn't already know it was on coilovers, they never would have guessed. It rides very smooth, exactly what I wanted for daily driving, so I'm very happy about that. So I think we'll just finish this one up with some shots of how the car is sitting now. But I hope you enjoyed this one. Hopefully this could help you if you have an E46 yourself and you want to install some new coilovers, some new suspension, something like that. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome week, and we'll see you in the next one.